Hey pros, Crystal here from Elite Hair Care USA. This is a common question that I get, whether it be on my YouTube live, on my videos, or even just commonly in the salon. What is the difference between dandruff and dry scalp? Well, there's actually a huge difference between the two, so we're going to break that down really quickly today. But the treatment is almost the same between both. So I'm also going to give you guys a couple tips and tricks, so watch this video until the end. Now, dandruff comes in the form of large scabs or flakes that can be white or yellow, and they come directly off of the scalp. They usually have a waxy feel to them. They can also feel pasty when wet, and they aren't easily extracted. It's traditionally best to extract them when they are when they're dry than when they are wet. Dry scalp is literally surface level. It comes from just lack of moisture from the scalp itself. And remember, scalp is skin, you guys. So just like how your skin is dry and sometimes you need to put a little bit of lotion on, or you need to kind of treat from within and drink a little bit more water, dry scalp can come directly from that. Dry scalp is actually produced externally and not internally, whereas dandruff is produced internally and then it forms itself externally. So I will elaborate on exactly what I mean. Dandruff is coming from an overproduction of sebum. The body actually makes sebum and pushes it out in the form of an oil, okay? So let's just say it's an overproduction of oil that the body actually makes. And now it pushes it out to the scalp, and that sebum settles and creates little craters or scabs or flakes that are yellow or white in color. That's dandruff. Dry scalp is really just from a lack of moisture, and it is surface level. So it literally just forms itself on the scalp. It flakes off in very small white flakes. If the flakes are really small and white in color, that's traditionally dry scalp. Now, of course, there are other skin conditions that can be associated with this, such as seborrheic dermatitis, psoriasis, where psoriasis actually starts around the ears. Seborrheic dermatitis can go all the way down to the forehead. It can go down to the eyebrows. You can even have dry scalp in your eyebrows as well, because like I said, this is lack of moisture. So whenever you are wondering which one you have, you want to traditionally look at the characteristics of the flakes, because that's going to be the telltale sign. Dry scalp does not come in large flakes. It's usually little specks, little pieces that will flick off. Dandruff can come in the form of a scab. Sometimes they bleed when they are lifted. It can come in this form of very large flakes that actually take hair with them, or those flakes that you will see if you watch a lot of those videos where they're literally pulling through the strands and those flakes are actually coming up with it. That is dandruff. Okay, so let's talk about some pro tips that will help you if you are dealing with situations such as an overproduction of dandruff, or you're dealing with some dry scalp. Let's start with dry scalp because that one is a lot simpler. Number one, dry scalp really likes to rear its ugly head in the cooler months because it's more dry outside. The weather is more dry. There's not much humidity in the air. If you live in the more northern states where you deal with a lot of cooler air, dry scalp is usually more traditional in those parts of the world. But it doesn't say that it can't happen in the South. It doesn't say that it can't happen in the West, the Caribbean, or any other parts of the world, okay? If you are dealing with dry scalp at this very moment, you can take a very lightweight oil and dress your scalp. So we have something called the Hair Repair and Growth Balm. This is a lightweight lemon-based hair balm that is packed full of nature's most amazing ingredients, but is extremely lightweight. It has great antioxidant properties, and it's going to be light enough that it doesn't suffocate the scalp while you are trying to remedy your dry scalp. Dry scalp also does not need to be scratched to be removed. Dry scalp is so thin in layers that it can remedy itself by you just adding a lot more moisture to the areas where you're having the problem. That also means internally you need to be drinking a little bit more water. You can drop a little bit of salt in your water to help with any form of dehydration. You can also do treatments to your scalp that have or introduce a lot more moisture. So take, for example, our B7 mask. This is a strengthening mask, but % of our products introduce a ton of moisture into the hair and the scalp. So B7 is a great way to introduce moisture to the hair, and that is your body's way of saying, hey, you're not moisturizing me enough, and you probably want to start introducing some more moisture. Now, like I said, dry scalp is easily remedied. Dry scalp is actually something you can definitely get rid of by just changing your habits and using the right products, okay? Hot oil treatments are also amazing for people who produce a lot of dry scalp, but keep in mind it's not amazing for people who have issues with dandruff. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. Dry scalp, hot oil treatments using our Goddess Hair Repair Serum mixed with any type of carrier oil. You can use coconut oil, which is very lightweight. You'll take your bottle of Goddess Hair Repair Serum, a bottle of coconut oil, 1 part Goddess Hair Repair Serum to 2 parts coconut oil, mix them together, put it on the scalp when the hair is dry, and then go ahead and put your head under a steamer or wrap your hair with a hot towel. That is really an old school way of getting rid of a lot of moisture issues that you guys have. But at the same time, our Goddess Hair Repair Serum is going to help you with your alopecia. It's going to help you with stagnated growth. It's going to help you strengthen your follicles. I'm very old school at heart, so utilizing a lot of old school techniques are really what built my brand and made me super successful, because I believe simple and less is more. A lot of you go way out and you want to buy a million products to remedy a very small situation, when really just small changes can make a big difference or a huge impact on how your hair and your scalp really respond to the elements around you. Let's talk about dandruff. Now, if we talked about dandruff being an overproduction of sebum or oil that the body produces, let's use our common sense here. Why are you oiling your scalp? You are literally suffocating the actual pores. So you're basically telling your body that it is clogged up there and I need to produce more. So then you go now and you get the world's heaviest oils that you can find, olive oil, shea butter, all these different unnecessary oils for the scalp, and you clog your scalp, and you wonder why the dandruff is actually worse over time than starting to get under control or lessen the weight or the amount that you have. I got tongue-tied. Anyway, with that being said, dandruff is one of those things that it does not literally remove itself. You have to remove it. Some of you are getting medicated shampoos and all these things, and you're getting mad because, hey, they're not working. They're not removing the dandruff, because dandruff does not remove itself. So what you're going to do, listen closely, get in close. Before your wash day, you are going to take a small rat tail comb. You're also going to take a little bit of our Soothe and Balance pre-treatment. This is a pre-treatment that you can help to utilize moisture, but at the same time, helping to lift and soothe the areas where you have a lot of that dandruff. Dandruff can sometimes hurt, because I've seen a lot of people who have different types of dandruff, and it comes in a lot of different shapes and forms. Some get scabby, some are more scaly, some are very waxy, some are very dry. It just comes the way it comes, right? But that's neither here nor there. When you are doing your wash day, use a little bit of Soothe and Balance pre-treatment as well as a small tooth rat tail comb. And you are going to put this on the scalp itself, allow it to sit for anything up to 3 to 5 minutes. You can put a processing cap on if you want. And then utilize your comb to lift that dandruff off the scalp. There is no way that any of your dermatologist recommended medicated shampoos or products that they're giving you are going to help you unless that dandruff is off the scalp, so that you can treat the actual issue, which is at the scalp level. We got to use that common sense here, you guys. Come on now, right? But the Soothe and Balance pre-treatment allows you to be able to soothe the scalp, but at the same time, help to lift that dandruff and also moisturize the scalp, because guess what? Soothe and Balance is infused with zinc. A lot of you don't know that zinc oxide is amazing for stagnated growth, scalp issues. I call them scalp congestion issues. It also has peppermint oil. It has a lot of other oils in there that are going to help to literally nourish the scalp at the same time, but help you to lessen or remedy how much dry scalp or dandruff you are dealing with. Okay, so this can also be used for dry scalp issues too. Of course, this is going to soothe. That's why we call it soothe. And then it's also going to help to balance out the fact that you have this overproduction of sebum up there. As easy as it sounds, if this is complicated for you, take your Soothe and Balance into the salon, talk to your stylist, ask them to introduce that to your hair and your scalp. It can also be used for itchiness. It can be used to soothe some really bad itching. I actually use it every wash day because my scalp is always itchy from me using a ton of spritz. So you can use it as a part of one of your other products that you might have from Really Hair Care. You can add this in conjunction with your clarifying shampoo or even your treatment shampoos to really soothe the hair, soothe the scalp, and introduce a lot of that zinc to that actual scalp. Okay? So I hope some of these tips and tricks helped you guys. I know it was a lot of information, but this is something that people doesn't talk about. And a lot of you are just getting bad information and just doing the wrong thing. So a simple fix like what we talked about today can make huge impact and great changes in your hair and your scalp. For those of you that don't already know, go check out my website, elitehaircareusa.com, and also go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye.